Hey, this is Lourdes Santabaya. I'm an IBCLC and I live in Puerto Rico. I participate reluctantly, I'd say. The last time I went, I was like seriously harassed at the Puerto Rico um, collaborative group for breastfeeding cooperation. I don't know what they call themselves. The state coalition. I'm executive director and co-founder of Alimentación Infantil, or ASI. Um, and for celebrations, well, I have some friends here who are helping me clean my house. So that's going on right now. But it's like much needed, and it makes me feel good that I have friends who can help me when things get out of hand. And for my goal is just to continue to get to know everybody who is part of this group better.
Great, thank you, Lourdes. And do we have the list of committee members next? And I'll just go down the list. All right, so is Ana Linares with us today yet? All right, how about Sissy Watkins? All right, so Elise.
You know,
sure?
Yes.
I can list of people who are on the call. Can you see that?
So yeah, my list just keeps changing order.
Oh, okay, all right.
Right, depending on who spoke.
Right.
Yeah. Hi, so I'm Elise. I'm a La Leche League leader. I'm an IBCLC. I don't think I'm here officially representing, but those are my ties. My celebration is that this is my left wrist, and the last time I was on a call for the last 6 weeks, it's been in a cast. It came off yesterday.
Yay!
I'm excited about that, and I'm also a little bit daunted by the fact that I've still got a really long way to go before I can actually use it, but at least it's not in a cast. I took a shower this morning, and I used my left hand. It was great.
Yay!
It's the small things in life, right?
Small things, oh boy.
Right.
Getting to not having to worry about getting into the water, washing the dishes, taking a shower, and then not walloping people by accident with something hard if I just try to pat them on the shoulder. So that's great. And my goal is also, like Lourdes, is to learn to know who's who and what's what on the committee. Keeps sort of moving my way into how the group works and what we'll be doing and who everybody is.
Thank you, Elise. I think I saw Emily's name in the list.
Yes, good morning, everybody. This is Emily Taylor, and on USBC, I represent a tiny little nonprofit called WISE, which stands for Women Inspired Systems Enrichment. But I believe on CRASH, I have the great privilege of representing the board of directors for USBC itself, where I serve as the chair-elect. It seems like there are so many things to celebrate in a positive space. I guess this week I would like to celebrate Mona and I, the chair, and Amelia and Kinkini, our coalitions director and interim executive director, had a great opportunity to have a reversed site visit at CDC this week, where we got to share about all of the great work that we're doing and talk about how we can collaborate further. And it was really exciting to see how much they were hoping to be able to learn from us, not even just within the breastfeeding work group, but within the entire division about our equity work, and specifically about CRASH and how they may be able to improve their internal systems and culture in using the model that we use through CRASH for USBC. So that felt like a really incredible celebration, and one that certainly I hope all of you will share as so much of your hard work. I would like my goal for today to be to really focus on staying present and listening deeply.
Thank you, Emily. Yes, it's a great celebration for all of us. Is Ifeanyi on yet? I have not seeing her name, but there's a number I don't recognize.
Hi, this is Ana Maria Linares. I'm here.
Hi, you can go ahead.
Oh, thank you. Well, I guess I'm sorry that I'm coming a little late. I have some technical issues. Well, I'm Ana Maria Linares. I'm associate professor in the College of Nursing, University of Kentucky. So the research interest that I have is breastfeeding, especially promotion of breastfeeding in Hispanic population. I work a lot with Hispanic mothers, trying to help them to go just for exclusive breastfeeding and not with las dos cosas, that normally they want to supplement their babies with formula. However, we know that the evidence is showing that they are not really supplementing, they are overfeeding their babies. So I'm trying to work with this population. My goal for today is just to be able to collaborate the best that I can. What I'm celebrating that I'm working in collaboration with a lot of nursing associations in South America, and we got a grant in Mexico. So they're going to be able to run studies to know the factors that are influence mothers about their decision to breastfeed or formula feed. And also we got one in Ecuador, because it's all in South America that I'm running and helping this association. And I got a Fulbright, and I'm going to Peru in 2 weeks more. And also we're going to have a study there. We're going to run a study about breastfeeding and other things. So I'm really happy for all those things that are going on right now with helping other people and other nurses and countries to know why breastfeeding is so important.
Thank you, Ana Maria, and congratulations.
Yeah.
Great work.
Awesome.
Thank you.
So I think Liz is up next.
Hi guys, I put my camera on so I could, you could revel in my virginal state. I am happy to be here as always. My celebration. Oh, I'm Liz Brooks. I am an IBCLC. I'm here on CRASH as one of the reps of one of the member organizations of USBC, the Human Milk Banking Association of North America. I'm also a member of the State Breastfeeding Coalition and the local IBCLC group. My celebration today is, I noticed in the yard across the street, there's a little patch of the grass that gets the earliest spring sun, and that when the snowdrops and yellow aconites bloom, I know that spring is on its way. And it's, literally the flowers are coming up through the snow and ice. So it's always wonderful to walk by and know that spring is coming. My goal today is to listen and as always be re-energized to the work of CRASH and the overall goals of USBC.
Thank you, Liz.
Hi, this is Mona.
Hey, Mona.
Hi, I'm not sure if I was showing up on your list because I'm calling in. And if you don't mind, can I take the opportunity to introduce myself?
You can. We were going in order, and you're after Michael, but if you want to go now.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. So I actually won't be able to stay on long, so thank you for letting me pop in. I am Mona Lisa Hamlin. I serve as the chair of USBC until June, and am very happy to continue on with CRASH and see all of the great movement that we will build upon from our initiation. I share in the celebration that Emily spoke about earlier in regards to our CDC site visit yesterday, or the day before actually. It was really phenomenal to be a part of a conversation where an organization was really impressed with not only where we started, but where we have come and how we have really changed our infrastructure and overall culture, not only as our membership, but also as board and staff, and really walking the talk and really putting forth action. And I think that is being well received within the field. We truly are trendsetters. And so that's a celebration for all of us to partake in. And it hasn't been an easy road, but we continue to see it through. So thank you to everyone. And unfortunately, I won't be able to stay on. So I look to going back later today and listening to the recording or as soon as it's available.
Thank you, Mona. All right, we'll go to Michael Young next.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can.
Wonderful. Good morning. I'm Michael Young. I'm at Howard University College of Medicine. I'm a neonatologist there and associate professor in pediatrics. And I am on this crash committee representing Rose, Reaching Our Sisters Everywhere. I happen also to be in the National Medical Association, and we have a breastfeeding alliance there. So I'll be bringing some information from their perspective as well. But my formal role is for representing Rose. And in that respect, my goal for this meeting is to determine what Rose can do to further the mission of CRASH. And I'm celebrating being present and woke.
Thank you, Michael. Are you post-call?
No, but I
Okay,
do have a
that's
lecture to give at 30, so I'm gonna have to. I'll be pausing away from you all at 10:25.
All right, thank you. Can we? Is Nandi on? I think she sent an email that she might be late or not able to join us. Is Chanel on? And I see Treva in the list. Treva, you can introduce yourself.
Oh, am I on? Okay, I thought I was muted. Yes. This is Treva Smith. I am from Kansas City, Missouri. I am a community education specialist. I represent the Kansas Breastfeeding Coalition. I work for FQHC in the Kansas City area. My celebration is, I had it. Now, I don't know how I forgot. I start my vacation this week, this afternoon. So this afternoon starts my vacation. I'm very excited to have the break. So that's my celebration. And my goal is just to listen and learn, trying to get my feet wet, new to the committee.
Thank you. And I'll second Elisa's have a great vacation comment in the chat. And I think that's it for the crash committee. If we can go through the USPC staff that's on. I don't know who wants to go first, Miriam, Danae, or Adeline.
I can go first. Hi, everyone. My name is Miriam. I'm the Coalition Relations Coordinator for USBC. I actually just flew into Chicago last night, so that's why I'm not sharing my video. But I guess that's my celebration. I'm a little bummed, but also celebrating that I'm back in Chicago. And my goal for today would be just reiterating everything that you all said, learning, staying engaged, being present. That's it for me.
Thank you, Miriam. And either Adeline or Danae?
Yes, I can go next. Hello, everyone. My name is Adelina Robinson. I am the Member Relations and Administrative Coordinator here at USBC. And my celebration is just love, self-love. And my goal is to learn more from all of you and to let myself be more comfortable with sharing with you when appropriate. And yes, looking forward to every meeting of CRASH because you are all wonderful.
Thank you, Adeline. And certainly last but not least, Danae.
Hello, my name is Denise Schmidt. I am the Member Relations and Operations Manager with USBC. I am celebrating a long weekend this weekend. It's President's Day on Monday and we are closed, so that will be nice. And my goal for today, or what I'm looking forward to, is reviewing the recommendations, the crash recommendations for each category, and setting priorities for this year. So I am excited about that.
Thank you. All right, and we'll take a minute to go through quickly our community norms. If someone could read each of them, that would be great, so we can just make sure that we're all on the same page as we delve into the rest of the meeting. And I don't have the list of people, so I'm just going to go with whatever order people are on my screen. So, Emily, if you could read the first one.
Sure. Everyone participates.
And then Elise. Uh-oh, you're muted.
Sorry about that. I was muting my cat. Speak from your own experience.
Thank you. And Anna Marie?
Step up, step back if, when in racial mixes groups discussing race, you usually hold back. Speak up. If when it's racially mixed groups discuss race, you tend to speak often. Take a pause.
Thanks. And Liz, next.
Let's see. Stay engaged and open to new learning. Listen well for deep understanding.
And Lourdes, next.
Assume, wait, we just changed screens, right? I'm sorry. Honor concerns, ask for suggestions, no shaming, attacking, or discounting.
And I think I have Mona next, but I don't know if you can see the slides. Can you? No.
I think
I'll read it. So experience any discomfort that comes up as part of the learning process. Speak your discomforts and breathe. And Treva?
Maintain confidentiality. If you later share about your experience in a meeting, refrain from using names.
And Michael? You're on mute if you're talking. Michael, I think your line is muted, so if you were talking, we can't hear you. All right. So Danae, can you read Michael's for her?
Sure. So assume positive intent and take responsibility for impact.
Thank you. All right. So we are a little behind already, but we've finished the first part of our agenda. That's introduction and our review of community norms. And now we're going to spend the majority of this meeting reviewing the current crash recommendations and some of the progress that we've made to date since crash was developed on achieving those recommendations. And we want to be mindful of leaving time at the end for reflection. So we'll wrap up at 10:40, and anything that we don't get through for this meeting we'll include on the agenda for our next meeting. So no pressure to finish them all. So if we can pull those recommendations up, that would be good. Oh, before we go to those, let's say our thanks. Can you pull the next slide up again, Miriam? I know it's on it. So thank you to Liz Brooks for agreeing to join the USBC nominating committee as our crash liaison, and to Sissy Watkins, who's not with us, for joining the USBC conference program committee as the crash liaison, and then to all members of crash who've agreed to serve as on the awards committee to review applications for the Tribal Trailblazer, Emerging Leader, and Cultural Change Maker Awards. The work shouldn't be too time consuming. We apologize in advance if it becomes so. Let us know any feedback you have as you serve in those roles. All right, so now on to the crash recommendations. Do you want to bring up the document that has the recommendations? I don't think they're in the actual slides.
Yeah, give me 1 second.
Okay. And this part, so anyone that's been involved with Crash that I wasn't here from the beginning, so if you have information about the genesis of these recommendations or we're open for all to share that have been involved or that have questions about the recommendations. So we'll just go through them one by one until we get through as many as we can before 10:40. And so the crash committee recommendations were broken up into domains. And so we'll start with those for membership, and with the caveat that prior to the crash committee, coalitions weren't considered or weren't eligible for membership to USBC. So one thing that we have been thinking about and need to decide as a group is whether or not we'll merge the transformation teams that were working on membership issues and the transformation team that's working on coalitions issues, just because oftentimes in our meetings in the past, they've both been working on the same thing. So we'll start with membership. And Danae, I don't know if you or Miriam were going to lead us through some of this part.
I can definitely take that on. Okay. So Sahir, do you have a preference? Would you like me to just read through them and then provide the status for each one?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Alrighty. So the first recommendation from Crash for membership was to track current demographics of individual member representatives as well as demographic composition of individual committees. So right now we are tracking our current demographics of individual member representatives. We do that through the USBC website. Each individual representative has an individual profile in which they have to put that information in, their demographic information in. What we haven't done is actually done a report on that. So I think that would be an achievable goal this year to actually report out on that. And I'll pause for any questions or feedback on that one.
I agree. That sounds like a great achievable.
Yes.
I also, this is Ana Maria, I think it's important to get the report. And I don't know, probably, I know when I got in the website, I kind of filled the most that I could, but probably it would be good to submit, to send an email reminding everybody to fill the demographic composition, just in case that someone didn't answer all the questions, so we can then run the report and have a complete demographic characteristic of the group. It's just an opinion, okay?
Yeah, so what we usually do when we have member representatives come in, we actually do a lot of phone calls now to make sure that they are filling in the individual profile. And the way the individual profile is set up, as soon as you click edit, the demographic portion is mandatory, so they can't save anything without it. I think it was built that way intentionally. I think what we should do, though, as you were saying, is when we do the report, if there's anyone that just hasn't logged into the profile, definitely give them phone calls to make sure that they are filling that in as well.
Great.
Okay. So the next recommendation was to set measurable and time-bound goals for increased representation from the priority demographics. That is not something that we have set yet, but I think that goes, that accompanies the goal number 1 very well. So once we have that report, we can set a time-bound goal for that as well. See where our gaps are and set a goal. Any questions or recommendations on how to achieve that one?
I have a question, I'm sorry. Can you give me a definition of what is priority demographics?
So I am assuming from reading this that this is any underrepresented populations.
So maybe we should
define,
consider better defining what the priority demographics are.
Yes, because we need to know if it is basic in related with the goal of exclusive breastfeeding, or is related with income or other things, you know. So it would be good to get a definition what USBC considered a priority demographic. Thank you.
And I agree. Once we have an idea of what the demographics are, because that's something that wasn't being tracked before, right, Danae?
Yeah, correct.
I think once we get the first report to see where things are, and it won't really be a baseline just because we've done so much through CRASH and the rest of USBC to make some adjustments.
Right.
So we won't know, you know, where we started, but we'll at least know where we are now.
Okay. So the third one is to review current membership categories, invitation and application processes, fees and costs, and assess and address barriers to participation, especially for non-national organizations. So as many of you know, we have expanded our membership categories, and we did launch applications last month. Part of the Membership Engagement Committee's role was to review the categories, the application process, everything that's listed here. And so we are working towards that. I imagine that we will have to measure this again with the expansion of the categories. And I'll also open that up for Lourdes and Liz, who serve on the Membership Engagement Committee, if they'd like to provide any feedback on that as well.
Liz, would you like to say anything?
You may be muted, Liz, if you're talking.
Nope, I'm not. I said I had nothing to add.
Oh.
Okay. What was the plan to assess and address the barriers to participation?
I can.
Yeah, go ahead, Danae. Are you just looking for an overall summary of the work on the membership committee to reduce, to address barriers?
Right, like once, so I'm guessing now that the membership is open, and kudos to you guys for all the work as a coalition. It was great to have to put that question towards the coalition. Like, are we going to join? Yes. But now that it's open, are we going to do how are we going to, like, we're hoping that, okay, you build it, they'll come, right? You've opened the door.
I can say something.
Organizations are going to come in.
Yeah. Go ahead. I think I heard Danae's voice, but I'm happy to answer. But I'd love to hear how probably staff can do a much better way of summarizing.
I think Lourdes said that she could answer that. Well, I want to turn it over to you all.
Go for it, Lourdes. Rock, paper, scissors.
Okay, which is that there was a list generated of organizations that seem to have a cultural component to them or a national component that was generated that at some point the name of the organization was punched into the USP system, that perhaps an individual who works there or is affiliated with that organization put the name of that organization into the system, so that the list was generated, and we began to discuss which of those organizations we would be doing outreach to request that that they apply, and also the members of the committee are able to give suggestions if there are organizations that are not on that list.
Gotcha. And is there like a feedback menu for?
We were all reviewing all of them, because like last week we didn't get even through, like, I would say 1/4 of them, but making decisions like reviewing and so that if before we start the meeting, all of the participants participated in a survey about who we would like to definitely invite and who we would like to discuss more. And so then there was a natural discussion that happened in the committee meeting.
Gotcha.
We're also, as far as like feedback, we're also hosting a webinar in 2 weeks that we've invited coalitions and anyone who's interested in membership. Now that they have the application to access, they see the fee structures. So we're hoping that those who are thinking about membership will come to that webinar and be able to ask questions, and we can address some of those things as well there.
Gotcha. Any other comments or questions? All right, number 4.
Okay. So that this one also goes back to what Lourdes was explaining, that we have a list of organizations within the website that the membership committee is reviewing to send a special invitation to become organizational members. So we have a goal to increase membership by at least 25 new organizations. So we are tracking this right now.
And is time bound?
Yeah, so we're hoping the first goal is June, but at least by the end of the year that we have 25 new organizations.
Any other questions or comments?
Is that so? The list is there, and I'm sorry, you've been mentioning a list, but I'm not sure. Is that a list that the rest of us can see, or is that a subcommittee list?
That's a list from the Membership Engagement Committee, the prospective members list. Is that something that the Crash would like to, and I can bring that back to our committee chair? And
I would like to see the lists. If it's, if that seems appropriate. I don't know if everybody else feels the same way about it or not.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see a problem with it, unless the committee has a reason to keep it just to the committee.
Maybe the committee would want to keep so if I understood you correctly, there's a list of people, of groups that are definitely being reached out to, and was this also the list where there were some maybes or some further discussion?
So there's a list of organizations, we're just calling them prospective member orgs. These are organizations that have requested a group profile in the USBC. That was the place that we decided to start. We don't know yet, because I think as Lourdes mentioned, I think we got through 3 organizations. That's it. The list isn't like a list of definite yeses to invite, not that they're eligible for membership, but to do specific outreach to. But yeah, we can definitely share that list with the Crash committee. And we do have, Liz and Lourdes who serve on that committee representing Crash as well. So.
Yeah, this is Liz. I was going to mention that a lot of the work that happens on committees is done under the guise of competence, in the sense that free conversation and respectful conversation is expected during meetings, but that then it should stay within the meetings because we want to encourage people to be open and transparent. And so the work of the membership committee is considered to be confidential, but it doesn't mean we can't have movement of information from committee to committee because Crash clearly operates under the same system.
Oh, there's a lot of background noise from someone. If you're not talking, can you please mute your line?
Se tiene que quitar las puertas. O sea que sí, okay. Yo lo que
Might be Elise. There we go.
Someone.
All right.
I think it's Lourdes.
No, it's someone speaking Spanish.
Lourdes having too much fun.
Maria.
All right. Do you guys want me to start over?
Yeah, please.
Oh, sure. The membership committee, like many committees.
Okay. Yo no estoy costando. Sí. Ya no tiene. Es que se va a hacer algo con esas telas. Si no, no. Ajá.
Whenever I start, Lourdes starts, so I don't want to.
Right. Lourdes, are you able to mute your phone?
Did you do that, Mr. President?
I don't think she's
fine.
with us. Let me text her.
Not a good question.
Is I don't know if someone is the host for the meeting. They might be able to mute her line for her as well.
Oh, there we go.
There you go.
Whew. Oh, I just was going to say, the membership committee meeting, we were going through this long list of organizations, and as I understood it, these were organizations that may have themselves made some kind of inquiry, but also might have been organizations that USBC folks have said things like, how come so-and-so isn't a member? They ought to join USBC. So it was a nice, very comprehensive list of organizations that might or might not be a good fit for USBC. There was a respectful but confidential discussion of the entities, not in that there's a secret, but that we want to have free and transparent and open discussion when we're doing committee work. Same is true of Crash, but that doesn't mean that we can't share information from committee to committee within the USBC leadership and governance structure, because we all operate here. It crashes our own norms that we read every time that we start. It's about let's be respectful of one another in the work that we do, and that includes keeping our conversations that are crash related within the work of Crash. So if Michael or others are curious to see those lists of organizations, I think it's only appropriate that there be a sharing of that information from one committee to another.
Thank you, Liz. I don't know if Liz also commented that she's got some major work in ethics done in the past and continuing. So thank you,
yeah,
Liz.
baby. Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm for ethics.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so any other questions or comments about number 4? And if not, we can move on to number 5.
Okay. All right, so number 5, consider providing scholarships for small non-national organizations to cover application fees and or attend meetings. So right now, I wouldn't say it's a scholarship, but we have what's called a membership fee adjustment form that the Membership Engagement Committee developed to assist any organizations that may be under-resourced. Anyone can submit that form, and the Membership Engagement Committee reviews those forms and then makes a recommendation to the Board of Directors for those adjustments. And then the second part of this, providing scholarships to attend meetings. Right now, we don't have a mechanism for that. We do have a mechanism for scholarships to attend the conference right now. And some of those are open to any organization, like our Emerging Leader Scholarship. We have a Cultural Changemaker Scholarship this year. And then we also have a tribal scholarships. So those are the 3 that we have right now. And again, that Cultural Coalition scholarship is new. I will open this up and any feedback, questions, or comments from Liz and Lourdes about the membership fee adjustment form or anything like that. And Emily, who has is on the board and worked on that.
I have nothing to add.
Was I hearing that was the status? Was there also a specific goal, or did I just miss that?
There wasn't a specific goal. The recommendation is to consider providing scholarships for small non-national organizations to cover application fees and or attend membership meetings.
And there is, this is Liz, case by case consideration that's happening. It's just that I don't think that we're in a financial, what's the word I'm looking for, footing now where we can say, oh yes, absolutely, every year here's X amount of dollars or X amount of scholarships. But clearly, I think this is a very driving motivation to be aware of the fact that some organizations and individuals have more fiscal flexibility than others.
Right. And USBC's financial status is pretty grant dependent, right? Or grants and contracts dependent.
Yes.
Very much so. Though we are really trying to promote the EXO by 20 donation campaign to be able to increase the amount of our funding that comes from charitable donations. So hopefully everybody's out promoting that, encouraging that for people who may want to give.
Now, I can only, so this is not related to a recommendation from Crash, but as a coalition person that received the membership information, I was a little confused on what the coalition's payment, like, at first I was like, oh, okay, we're under this voting, and then it depends on how much we make. And then I was like, oh no, there's another line for coalitions, and then there's a range. And I don't know if there's a way to, before that webinar, figure out a little more guidance for how coalitions should determine what they can pay, because everybody wants to pay as little as they need to. But how are you, you know?
Yeah. So, one of the things we say on that form and like in the email is we are leaving it in your hands to self-select anywhere in that range between $0 or $20 and $100 for the fee. So some organizations are choosing 100, some are choosing 50, some are choosing 20, some are paying out of pocket directly, the executive directors, and so they may request a fee adjustment, which would, be reviewed by the membership engagement committee. But we're leaving it in your hands. So, Emily, do you want to say any more about that?
The only thing that I would add is that part of the evidence we reviewed in making that decision was that many people say we were to establish a $20 minimum for everybody, which is basically what we've been doing historically for other members per year, is that people will actually more often than not pay as much as they can as opposed to as little as they can. So we want to put people who feel that they're in the position to be able to pay as much as they can to do so, whether that's $0 or $100. So it really could go either way, of as little as possible, as much as possible, but more for the purposes of educating everybody about what we've learned and how it might benefit you and your coalitions. Is sometimes it goes the opposite way. So that could be exciting. But yes, we want everybody to have the option that, really meets their needs.
Gotcha. And I don't know if y'all saw the chat from Elise. So it sounds as if there's an associated goal there. Help USBC raise enough money to be able to move from consider to assist, and to allocate funds for that as soon as there is any solid money.
Yep, I'd say that's appropriate.
Right. All right, any other questions or comments before we move to the next? All right, number 6.
Okay, number 6 is explore participation through other venues such as conference calls and webinars. So we do have 4 webinar series. 2 are specifically targeted at our coalitions, but we do have 2 for membership. One is the racial equity webinar, which I would say is for membership and for coalitions. And then our collective impact webinar, which has been on hiatus, but we are relaunching in the next 2 weeks. Regarding conference calls, one of the things that we are talking about doing is restructuring the learning communities on the USBC website. And an engagement survey has gone out to our membership regarding the topics that the organizations are most engaged in. Those top 5 will have some backbone support provided to them from USBC. The other topics would have networking calls. So we are moving those 2 things forward this year.
Great, and I think for the first time, the first meeting, the virtual meeting in January is definite movement on this goal, right?
Yes, we do host our virtual meetings every January. We used to host them in person, but 2 years ago we started hosting them virtually.
Cool. Any other questions or comments about number 6 before we go to 7? All right.
Okay, number 7 is engage a bridge builder or cultural translator to build a welcoming experience for all members. To my knowledge, we do not have a cultural translator right now, and that this number 7 may want to come to the top of the list as something to implement this year. I'll open that up also to Emily. I don't know if there have been talks about this as well.
Is anyone else on this group also part of the conference planning committee?
Sissy is our liaison at this point.
But
she's not on the call.
Not on today. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is certainly something that we should be thinking about and working on. To me, Danae, I know you turned it over to me, but our membership meetings are typically planned, I would say 99% by staff. So this would be something that we could turn back to the staff to assess sustainability or possibility, feasibility, or what they feel is already being done in that regard. One thing we have been noting is just for the conference component, not for our member meetings, but for that other piece, is that we have the host committee where we've been trying to do trainings and support around how to interrupt, how to host, how to make a more welcoming and safe environment. And that has been something we've had to keep pushing off. And so I think that would be one specific thing that we could bring to the table, at least for the conference, if not also for the member meeting, that seems related, though not a specific cultural translator. Related, but not the same thing necessarily.
This is Michael. I'm trying to understand what you mean by a cultural translator bridge builder. Is that a person, a process, what?
I had the same question, like,
How
would you define a bridge builder, cultural translator?
Yeah, so I will be honest, I was not around when these were written. I was around when they were first announced, but I wasn't on the team. I'm not sure what that would mean. So maybe going back to Kinkini and other staff members and volunteers from our membership that were a part of this process, and having them just give a little bit, maybe defining what that means.
Right. maybe flesh it out to see if this is something we need to focus on this year.
So if I think we should definitely go back and inquire more. I was participating in that time, and from my perspective, what we were talking about was looking at the demographics and constitution of who we expected to be present at member meetings, who we were hoping to be able to not only include but empower around the table, and make sure that we were working with representatives of that community to just assess the experience and to be able to connect and everything from what types of food are we serving to just the full environmental experience, all the way to, do we want to have like ambassadors or like mentee partners that are assigned to people for their first meetings. So it looks like it's big here, and maybe it was, but what I was remembering was more some specific cultural inclusion techniques as opposed to just general inclusion.
That sort of gets at a question I had, which was, I was trying to figure out what was the venue for the welcoming experience? What, a welcoming experience on the website, a welcoming experience at conferences? It sounds like it's specifically at membership meetings. That was what was being addressed. Is that right?
I would think this is for all experiences. Every time we interface with members, is that right, Emily? When from the moment they step into membership as a member rep to engaging with them face to face, online, is that right?
I would certainly hope so. And I'm going to step back at this point because I feel like I'm talking a lot unless there's something specific. But I just want to say that we can definitely go back to the sisters who started this with us, for us, and get their frame of reference. But also I want to encourage everybody that you are here now for a reason. And so you're empowered to interpret this in the way that you think meets the needs that we have currently. So we can do both.
This is Liz, and it's funny. I mean, I've been coming to these meetings and coming to USBC for a long time, and I was reading this one over and over again, and I swear to God, this is the first time I've ever read this sentence, because it does sound like we're talking about one person, engage a bridge builder or cultural translator. I think that is, I don't think it's a one-person job. I think it's an organizational job, and as I'm looking back on the history of USBC, I agree with Emily. This seems to be a sentence that is attempting to articulate the overall notion that new members to a new organization enjoy that participation more when they're made to feel welcome and when they feel like they are equitable members in the organization. So I think that overall goal is something that USBC and CRASH have always articulated as very important. But whether or not these, we can parse out these words, I think really what we're talking about is engage a process of bridge building and cultural translation that makes new members feel welcome, which sounds great. But then that takes us to the very next question, which is, okay, great, that sounds great. How do we measure that? So perhaps this was an attempt to put some measurement to it, like if we can identify somebody who is the assigned mentee.
And I think Elise chatted a question. Would it be fair to say the goal here is put this item on top of the list and define the terms it uses, address the reasoning behind its origin, interpret, reinterpret what's at stake? And I think for any goal, making sure it's measurable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hello, this is Treva. I think it was Michael that mentioned that was this a individual, or was this a process? And maybe instead of having an individual, somebody also said it's not a one person ordeal. Maybe it's a process that we develop and adhere to versus, a particular individual's job. Just thought.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think expecting an individual to do this is a setup for failure. So it, in a sense, has to be a process and an organizational breadth.
So this is Danae again. So as we've been talking about this, I'm actually thinking that we've started to work on this in the membership engagement committee meetings. We've talked about a proper onboarding process, a proper way to make sure that new members are not being left behind. We've talked about developing a mentoring program. Liz, would you say that, or Liz and Lourdes, would you say that that would be true? Like we actually are taking steps in this way?
Yeah. I mean, I think that this encapsulates a goal that committees and the organization have, but the wording makes it sound like we are narrowing this down and assigning this to a hireable position or a assignable task to a person. And I see bridge building and cultural translation as something that the organization as a whole has to be working on all of the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the wording, I would say definitely tripped me up, but as we've flushed a little bit of it out, I think that we are actually working towards this.
But putting it to the top of the list and thinking about how we're going to make this take this out of the, what did we mean here? Category too. Oh,
definitely.
Right. I think we should work to redefine this goal. Like put it in language that we don't have this scratch your head experience.
Yeah.
Next year, like what do we mean?
Right.
Get up at the next meeting and maybe what does it mean, and then put it in the words of what it actually means. But we're doing some of that work.
Right. So reworded so that it's understandable and also clear that it's something we're able to measure.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we have like 6 more minutes before we get to reflection time.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm pretty sure we can get through these next 3. So number 8, I actually would suggest being removed. Right now, the coalition's regional representative position is not in existence anymore. Now that coalitions can become members and therefore do not need regional representatives. So we did away with that structure. That would be my suggestion, that it's not applicable anymore, and assessing coalition demographics, specifically their leadership. I think that would probably make the most sense since that structure doesn't exist anymore.
All right, can we agree as a committee, remove number 8? Anyone opposed to removing number 8? All right, so done. Thanks, Danae.
No problem. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Sorry. I had a message flash across my screen that said I was muted, so just wanted to make sure. Okay, number 9. Identify, nurture, and mentor emerging member representatives of color to create a pipeline of individuals to fill USBC leadership roles. I would say that we are in the process of implementing this. As I mentioned, we want to develop a mentoring program between members so that we can fill USBC leadership roles. Emily, do you have any feedback on that one? Liz, Lourdes, I want to open that up for you all who are doing the work in the committees and board.
And I guess my only question is, do we want to target only representatives of color, or is there, once we better define that priority demographic list?
This is Liz, and I was having just the same thought in my head now, as if we want to change that phrasing to representatives of non-dominant culture or marginalized communities, or just something, because I don't know what's the best way to capture the goal. Oh, that's my dog. That's his thought. But I do think there has been an attempt to articulate and implement processes to create leadership opportunities for those who might not otherwise have had them, certainly within any nonprofit and within the USBC specifically. So I think there has been movement, and I think there's going to be better movement going forward.
This is Emily, and from my perspective, I agree. And I have both been here for a long time and am a slightly younger version of the group that's always been fairly comfortable at the table of white women. So I guess I would like to hear from others in this group who are, you know, ideally in a leadership role right now. I consider being in Crash a leadership role, about how you think that we're doing for you and for your peers from your perspective. And I don't want to make that your responsibility, but I would like to offer that up, that your perspective feels really valuable to me.
So I nurture mentor part, because I'm not in a position to assess that, but I think at least from the history of USBC, I definitely see the identify part happening, and not just for people of color, which is why I was like, was that kind of tailored just to people of color? Because I think looking at the picture of the current USBC board is just like proof that this has been a work in progress. This number in particular has been a work in progress. To identify, at least. I don't know what's happened. You know, I don't know behind the scenes what's happening for the nurture mentor part, but
I would love to see all of these turned into like levers, right? So like this is the aim, but how would, like, what does it mean to nurture? What does it mean to mentor? What are the things that we think need to be done? If this is our to-do list, what are we telling people to do?
Yep. Yeah.
Right.
I was actually going to say that, like, this, and Elise chatted this as well, that there's not an associated measure here. And I think it all goes back to number one of defining those priority demographics, or number two of defining those priority demographics, and then surveying them and asking them what they need, and that's how we're measuring based off of those needs. If that makes sense.
Right. And Elise, can you just comment on your second part of your chat message?
I hope this doesn't come across wrong, but speaking for myself as a white woman, if I'm in a group of people and I say, isn't this going well? We are doing a great job of inviting other people to the table. My word should not be taken for that. My word counts there. I'm looking around and seeing more different people, but I don't have their experiences, and I don't know how hard it was for them to get there, and I don't know how many other people could be there. So I do feel as if this one needs the measurables, and it needs a really concrete way to make sure that the people who haven't been represented are the ones who are giving the feedback on whether it's working well.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
And no, it didn't come across wrong.
Okay, great.
Or at least not to me.
No, that was said very eloquently. Thank you, Elise.
All right, so that one we can work on tweaking in conjunction with number 2, and then also figuring out the how and how it's measured. All right, last up before we get to reflection.
We made it through one section.
Right.
Okay, track diversity and equity statements of member organizations, as well as their stakeholder engagement wheel levels for diversity and equity work. So this is actually something that we are starting to track. The engagement survey that went out to members asked about if they have diversity and equity statements. So the options are yes, no, we're planning on, or working on it. and some and I think there's like a not sure. So we'll be able to know which organizations at least have them established, and which are, you know, working towards that goal. And our new application for membership actually asks how the scope of equity work organizations are involved with. So.
Cool. Any questions, comments, or concerns about that one? All right, so we can be happy to report to Kinkenny that we made it through membership. In her absence, I did tell her we weren't going to get through all of these today, and she agreed. So I think we're good. And Lourdes, do you want to lead us in our reflection time?
Yes. Okay. So we're going to go through the list. All right. And if you can cover all of these, or at least 3 of the 7 things. So one thing I learned, what did I see here that surprised me? What stood out? What is one thing that I will do? My gift, my wish, and how do I feel? I guess I will take the lead and do this. Okay, so oh gosh, one thing that I learned is that we can get through an agenda pretty much in time. I think that's it. All right. What did I see here that surprised me? I think that some of the language that was on that list that we were reading, and I liked the input that we all added to tweaking it. What stood out, I'm gonna abstain on that one. One thing that I will do, I just commit myself to continue to be active on these subcommittees, and will say to everybody here in the crash committee, since you know that I'm involved in the membership committee, and I'm reviewing, although I'm not on the conference committee, I'm reviewing abstracts, is to let me know directly some of your concerns if it wasn't brought up in the discussion. My gift is my willingness to help and to be part of this organization, and my wish is just for us to keep growing. And I feel on track. I feel accomplished. So we're going to go through the list. I think I'm just going to go through the list that's on the call. So Emily.
Thank you so much. I think that I can combine what I learned, what surprised me, what stood out, was just hearing from different voices and getting to know some of you a little bit more, how you're thinking, what you're thinking. I feel like it was a gift to be able to get through the membership recommendations. My wish is that I can be a supportive part of the process in really making these measurable and even more importantly to me is actionable, so that we can enact our vision of a more inclusive, equitable USBC.
All right. Zahira, you're on next for me on my list.
Oh, sure. So I just wrote down the ones that I wanted to answer. So my gift was the perspectives of everyone that commented. I mean, I think, it's one of the blessings of the crash committee is to have so many different perspectives weighing in on the same thing, because it's, easy to see things your way and not necessarily even consider that there's another way to see things. So I really value hearing and everyone sharing the perspectives that they bring to this table. What stood out for me was something that Emily said, no matter what the original intent may or may not have been with these recommendations. This is at this point our committee. We were all brought here for a reason, and so it's our job or responsibility to interpret these the way we want to carry them out now for the future. And then my action is, as a former literature major, to sit with the wording of some of these to just make sure it sounds actionable and intentional, and even if it doesn't sound as pretty as it did before, to make sure it makes sense.
Thank you, Sahira.
Uh-huh.
Treva, I have you as next.
Did you say Treva?
Yes.
Oh, okay. One thing I learned, I guess, just learning some of the work that's going on is what I'm learning, still learning more about. One thing that stood out was that this patient work, and we're carefully combing through this work. One thing I will do is continue to work to integrate breastfeeding and just a culture of health, of family health is where my passion is, and how all these connect. And how do I feel? I feel honored, and I know I'll get over it after a while. Being in this space with you all, I am here, therefore I belong. But it is still kind of humbling for me.
That's beautiful. I'll say what somebody shared with me once, or gave me the mandate, which is that we need to put aside the imposter complex. You deserve it. You belong here. All right. I'm gonna go to Elise.
Hi. Can you hear me? I'm not muted this time?
No, you can hear. We can hear you.
I basically just want to echo both Sahira and Treva. I'm also intrigued by, as Treva said, this is a patient work. I really like that way of putting it. As Sahira said, it's very empowering to be told this, we're on this group now, and so it's our job to make of it what we are going to make of it, not try to second guess what somebody else might perhaps have thought in the past. So that kind of gives us a point to go forward. And also, like Sahira, what I would like to do is address the wording, and I'd be happy, I don't know what the best mechanism for that would be, but I would be happy to engage with people on what was intended in any of these and how it could be clearer to us and to anybody else reading them down the road.
Thank you. I'm gonna
And
go
I feel
now.
on track. I'm sorry, and I feel on track. I feel like I also learned, I beg your pardon, but I feel like I learned a lot more about what we're doing here this time around, and I really like the concreteness and the specificity of what we were doing today.
Thank you very much. I see we have Nandi, Nandi, can you hear?
Yes. I didn't have anything that necessarily surprised me, but I will say a big piece that I learned was sort of having a better understanding of how the calls will flow and also where we can provide input. It was helpful to get some additional context with some of these pieces, and I'm really looking forward to providing my experience with planning and strategic planning and creating objectives and all those, along some of the lines of what others were saying, to really help these be actionable and measurable, and so we can have the best outcomes and changes that we're looking for. How do I feel? I'm very excited about moving forward and just continuing to learn about the organization and do the best that I can to contribute to the committee.
All right, and then we have Liz?
Let's see. One thing I learned is that the work of this committee and of USBC is ongoing. That I love that. I agree that I love Treva's representation of this as a patient work. But sometimes when you look over your shoulder, you realize that a lot more has been accomplished than you think has been. Doesn't mean that the road doesn't still continue to stretch ahead of you. What stood out were Lisa's comments reminding me to be a step back leader. And my wish is that we continue to approach the work of CRASH and USBC with the value in our hearts that we appear to all have for this work. I don't think any of us is coming to this committee with the idea of just kind of sitting and slacking. I feel like we all treasure and value the role that we have been entrusted to play.
All right. Did I cover everybody? Because I'm just going off of this list here. Oh no, Anna.
Yeah, I was. I mean, I really agree with all that have been said already. I really learned a lot about the work of CRASH, and reading this, it really was a great experience for me. I still feel like I feel like I should contribute more, but sometimes I don't really know how to do it. So be patient with me. I wish to know, so that's probably my wish to be able to contribute more. But I have this feeling that I'm learning in this process, that we all need to be patient, and I feel really positive about the things that USBC is doing to help all mothers that are that want to breastfeed. So that's my point. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Anna. Is there somebody else who isn't staff that I missed? Because I'm looking through the chat list.
Yeah, I think we need Danae, Miriam, and Adeline.
Okay, so let's go in that order. Danae?
I would say my gift has been this conversation. Being in this position as the member relations manager, this conversation was very close to home for me. I also really appreciated the emphasis on measurement from this group. This is something that Kinkini and I have been discussing over the past few months, the importance of measurement and how are we doing in our equity journey. And so I really appreciate that this group holds that very high on their priority list. I am feeling energized. I am very much a do something person, very action oriented. And so this conversation has definitely got my wheels turning. I'm already thinking about how to measure some of these recommendations, and we'll probably maybe draft some things up just because that's the way my mind works. And yeah, I think that's it for me.
All right, Miriam?
Yeah, so I learned, I think going over the recommendation is really helpful just in seeing where the mindset was at of the CRASH committee when these were written. And it's really exciting to see where this committee now takes them. So that's kind of how I feel, excited to move forward. I'm also, like Danae said, feeling really motivated. And an action I want to do is give you guys really good notes, send out really good notes to those who couldn't be with us in this call today to keep this conversation going. Maybe make a survey to kind of work on the wording so that everybody gets a say and everybody can participate in the wording and what the recommendations of CRASH look like.
And now, unlicensed room, Adelene.
This is Adelene, not unlicensed room. So I learned a bit more about all of you and about how these meetings proceed, and I really like it. I really like that we get an opportunity, each of us, to speak. For those of us who are a little shy, that we have to, and that's really good. cultural translator stood out to me. I'm really curious to hear what it means, what the intention behind this was. And one thing that I will do is learn more about this. I feel great attending these crash meetings, and my wish, as Anna mentioned, is to be able to contribute more with all of you on the USBC equity journey as a Mexican woman. So that's my wish. And my gift is this group of people and how comfortable I feel talking to you all. And that's it from me.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
You did great. We finished. It's 11:58 my time. I'm on Atlantic time. And in winter, we're an hour off of the East Coast. We don't change the clock because we're still right. Anyway, the next meeting will be next month, and it will be the afternoon meeting. In the meantime, if you have any concerns, is there anything else to cover here? No. You know that you can contact me, Sahira. You can contact me. So we're doing good. This is a really, really strong group. I'm honored to be amongst all of you.
Yes, and I just like that this slide is something that I actually wrote, not even realizing we had the slide. But let's commit between now and the next meeting to use the workspace to suggest wording changes to this membership section of recommendations. Nice tongue twister. And also, if there were any recommendations that you would like to suggest we consider for the membership area, use the workspace to recommend those as well. And if Danae and Miriam, our lovely task-oriented staff persons, would definitely continue to help us like figure out measurement and any ideas that you have around any of the things that we just went through, that would be great and put us in a good position. I think my hope is that when we come to the next meeting, we can have these as close to fleshed out as possible to move forward with the next section. And we'll do the same thing with that section.
Would it be helpful to, one of the things that we do with the Membership Engagement Committee is we have a like a Dropbox paper doc that everyone has access to and can be flushing things out. Would that be helpful to put the recommendations in some format where everyone can sort of see the changes that are happening in real time?
I say yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
But those also allow you to track. So if there's something that we say, oh, maybe not, we can always revert back to or change to something.
Okay. How about we get that to you all today? That's really simple and easy to just convert it to a Dropbox paper and send you all the link to that.
Yeah. Oh, and Elise just asked for a refresher on how to get to the workspace along with that document.
Yep, I can. Do you want me to show you that really quick right now, or do you want me to?
Sure. Yep.
Okay.
Oh.
I think both. If you do a quick demo and then.
I need to, so I'm going to check out. If you can also put that in writing when you send out the email.
Absolutely, I will do that. Miriam, can you either show your screen or hand it over to me? Stop sharing, and I'll do that really quick. And then we can even, it'll be in the recording too, so that's good. So at the bottom of your screen, you should, there we go. Okay. So let me actually just pull up. Okay, everyone can see?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. So when you log into your account, this is the homepage. The quickest way to get to the community that you belong to is to click on My Communities here, this third red button. This will list every single community that you belong to. So just find Crash Committee Workspace here and click on it, and that'll take you right to the homepage. In the space, if you want to send an email, you can just click on the forum and click add a thread. If you want to respond to a thread, you just find the thread. If you can't find the thread, there's a nice little search bar here, and you can use any key terms and it'll bring up any email that, any thread we've been on that had those key terms. So that's the quickest and easiest way to add those things. The meeting materials are always down here in the file library. So today's meeting materials are right in here. And then you can,
for the Dropbox file, you'll add it.
So I'll add the Dropbox link to the meeting materials. So it'll probably just be a link in here. And then I'll also send it on the thread. So you'll have the direct link in an email as well.
Oh, and it looks like Elise may need help with her login information. So I think there's a place on the website that if you go to it and have trouble
So let me show you that. So if you're having trouble logging in, go to Get Login Support, put in the email address that's associated with your account, and then click OK, and it should send you an email. If that's still not working, email either myself or Miriam, and we can reset your password. You'll probably have to put it in exactly the way that she gives it to you, and then you can reset your own password once you get in there. And the quickest way to do that, once you log in, go to Update Profile, and then there's this 3 dots right here, and you'll have the option to, I think it's enter a new password, and then you can change your password that way, or change password, sorry. Change password right up here, the first option. When you click on that, you can change your password to whatever you'd like. Okay.
All right, and any questions, any of the USBC staff is always super helpful and willing to help navigate. All right, so thank you all for making time to attend this meeting. Again, it was great connecting and being able to learn more about you guys and the perspectives that you bring to this work. And we appreciate you. Until next month, enjoy your long weekend.
Thanks, Sahara. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you.